I'm a sergeant in the Colorado National Guard.
I met Steve back in 2000.
I've been in the military for a little over 8 years. My first deployment was to Iraq, and it was in 2010 to 2011. Leaving my family for the first time, I didn't communicate a lot. I shut myself away from the family. I had been gone on TDY, temporary trips to different schools for a few months at a time, but nothing like I was about to embark on, to 15 months away from the family. But I put your nose to the grindstone. We arrived in the back of a plane. It was pouring rain. We moved our bags in some tents. The next day hit the ground running, filled with classes.
When Steve left for his first deployment, I was very nervous. We were getting ready to have our third child.
The little things that she needed help on, she just had to do herself. Instead of allowing myself to get wrapped up with, hey, is Misty paying the water bill? I just ignored it. I figured she's paying the water bill. And if she's not, she'll not have water.
Rear +1, passenger.
I chose the route of basically kind of like a light switch, of turning off my emotions.
4-lane, we are locked.
It got to a point where I had to detach to do my job. At times, I forgot that I had a family at home.
Okay, we're down.
Our first son, actually, Ethan, when he was born, he was 5 weeks early, but he was also diagnosed with autism 2 days before Jacob was born. It was an emotional roller coaster. I was worn pretty thin.
After Steve left, I basically dove in to constant phone calls, constant research on how to get help for our son. I did not share with Steve like the full scale of how our life had changed while he was gone, meaning days of therapy. Pretty much every day of the week, someone was at our house.
I'm with Kaiser Permanente. They have all sorts of amazing autism programs that we could have taken advantage of. My federal policy through Kaiser does not recognize the ABA therapy as a legitimate therapy, which my son actually took.
ABA, Applied Behavioral Analysis.
Thank you.
Which, the Colorado Autism Bill covers, and we don't fall under that.
So benefit-wise, I'm not getting much out of the military for my special needs kids.
Ethan, although he was nonverbal and had a lot of trouble with his behavior and things going on, he knew that something was off because Daddy had always been there and now he's not. He would stand in front of the window if Daddy's Jeep was there, and he would just stare at the Jeep. It could be an hour or two, and if I would remove him from the window, he would have a meltdown.
The diagnosis of my son with autism, having the birth of my third son, Jacob, leaving my family for the first time, it was hard to remember that we were a team.
The deployment to Afghanistan, I was definitely more open with Steve.
When I first arrived in Afghanistan, I felt a little more prepared than I had when I first entered Iraq. Knock down the days, go out there and do your job. I'm just gonna try to adjust my mentality that you have to put in the training to do the mission.
Any chance I would get, I would send a message, an email.
Pretty detailed emails actually, which was great. So I connected at least in that way. Everything I do, I try to do 100 to 120%. And there's a human life involved. It's not just moving cargo. I focused my energy into doing what I had to do. Once I realized that somebody was indiscriminately trying to kill me, that changed my mindset about things. So getting back home, just trying to realize that I'm not in that environment, that I have kids who are doing all sorts of things all day, that I have to try to figure out what's going on.
Hi, Dad. I miss you. I love you.
The deployment to Afghanistan, I was definitely more open with Steve, as far as the day-to-day life at home, what to expect, preparing him to come home from that deployment.
Iraq seemed kind of like high school to me. Moving into Afghanistan seemed more like college level to me. Like it had been well established. They had a blueprint, they had a plan, this is what was going on. If I was to pick one mission from Afghanistan that kind of plays out in my head a lot.
Point 3, point 2. Starting right there. We are locked to release Group X. Right here.
Left right here.
LZ looks good. Clear down right.
We picked up 3 ANA soldiers. 2 went onto my helicopter, 1 went onto the other, the Trailbird.
There you go. Push it in a little bit deeper. There you go.
They had multiple gunshots throughout their body. I know that I had a new crew chief in the back. He was, it was his first mission, so I kind of sat over and just let him do his job.
Gradual decel.
I'd leave it there, man. That's good.
It took me back to my first real mission in Iraq, watching my soldier do this.
Just pitch. Maintain 80. Start bridging that power back in a little earlier.
And just him dealing with the complications of multiple gunshots that hadn't been identified, the blood that came with that on the aircraft.
Roger. Hey, Mike, make sure you got security of him.
I got him.
All right, cool.
Why I'm in Afghanistan right now? Because this guy's going to go home to his family tomorrow. Coming back home, I didn't realize the extent that I had actually pushed myself to. I actually got pretty far removed from everybody.
Now he's much more laid back, large crowds, he gets a little nervous and, is usually wanting to just head out after a little bit, but he's also very mellow. As far as the future for the boys, a lot of doctors I talk to and we go through, we try not to, put a timeline or what to expect for the future because we just don't know. Having the children with special needs helped us, kind of brought us closer together. But also, I think for Steve and I, we just needed to find a way to reconnect again.
This time compared to the first time was just night and day. I'm glad that I went through that because it's brought us closer and united us on so many other levels than just, hey, we're husband and wife, and we're a team.